Jesus said it perfect. Do not deny these kids to come to me. Yeah. And then other parts he says, if you're not like these kids, you will not inherit the kingdom of heaven.
Wow.
It says you should have childlike faith, not adult faith, right? So it's like, why is he keep pointing towards the kids to be an example? And our kids in our communities don't know this.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
All right, everyone. My name is Jonathan Rizo, and I'm here to bring you guys something new. Okay, so this is a lunch break special where we're practicing something called mentorship. MEN. And what we're working on is we want to bring you guys back to the adventure. We want to bring you guys back to the battle of something that we're working on that's focusing on a book that's called Wild at Heart. And the big thing that we want to take you guys on is the journey with us, where we're going to be walking you guys through several different stories of how adventure and mentorship collided together and produced a beautiful story. And one of them is going to be right here, my boy right here, Johnell Ward. So the one thing I want to talk to you guys about we are Covenant Coffee. I got to shout out to them because they are a wonderful company.
Randy Martin, you do a great job.
They work with something that's really dear to my heart. Foster students is somebody that I work with, students that I work with that I take in personally. And I make sure that we look out for them because they don't have parents. And that's why I like Covenant Coffee, because what they do is they bring life to foster kids that no longer get that help.
Because there's no money.
That they got in the whole life. It's like, oh, you've gone. Oh, this help.
Your city's gone.
Turn 18.
Hey, bye. Get your stuff.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these kids, no homes, So that's why I love Covenant Coffee, and we got to support that. Plus, the coffee's bomb.
It is.
And that's where we're going to lead up to. We're doing this whole 12 episode series where we're really piecing things in because we really want to take you guys to a point where me, Tom, and my dad, Hector Rizo, what we're going to do is we're hosting an event in person at the Bakersfield Country Club. Bomb food.
It'll be good.
Well, we're going to be getting you guys together, and we're going to be personally walking you guys through this journey of how to find your adventure, how to find that passion, and how to fight that battle that you have to fight.
Mentality Unleashed.
Woo!
MEN, men.
I can't wait.
Sounds great.
I can't either. Hey, you're going to be enjoying Hector Rizo. Your dad is so funny, John. I don't know of a more hilarious guy. And he doesn't care about being politically correct or racially correct. He just, right?
My dad's a wild man.
He just lets it go.
He's a wild man. He's a wild man.
He's worth the admission, Hector
100%.
Rizo.
But, and even you, Pastor Tom, one thing that I've seen, Pastor Tom don't care. He's going to say what he says. Hey, but the one thing that you guys both do that's so delicate is you guys are able to paint and discuss these things with such eloquence, with such a good way that you're able to push people and drive them, but let them keep their dignity.
Well, John, and I think, you both are know me well. I do believe that men want to strive.
Yeah.
And men are motivated, and sometimes, it's like if you see that battle that we talked about that's in them, and you see that there's an adventure and that beauty, sometimes you got to start it with men. Yeah. And it's not a pat on the back, it's a shove sometimes.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You're right. I don't want no pat on the back when I don't deserve it.
Yes. And so there again, if you're a woman out there, you might listen to us and encourage your husband to listen to us.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Encourage your husband.
Because we can speak to your husband's life.
100%. And this is the thing that we want. And this is the thing that I can say with all of my heart. The number one thing that every man has, especially when they're married and they have kids, the number one thing that we want is we want to be good husbands and we want to be good fathers. So that's what we want to teach your husbands. Listen on.
And there again, we've talked about it, and there's one thing that happens in men's relationship, and that's abrasiveness.
Yeah.
And abrasiveness is required in men's relationship. Yeah. What do we do when we're little? We push each other and start slugging, and then we get up and hug each other and walk away, right?
Go drink out of the water hose together.
Yeah. and what do our wives ask us?
Why do you do that?
I go, because we're men. Johnny's son's 2 years old and wanting to fight him, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, it's in us. So that, you know, and then I think it's a great thing to have that romanticizing, where it, you know, it can be pointed to your spouse, but also is like that romanticism is, we want to be the hero of our own story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we want to be the hero of somebody else's story to help give them a hand up.
100%.
You know, it's that ability, and I think that's what drives us all.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
dreaming of doing better. It's dreaming of helping others. You know, I think everyone is in a position, right? At least for us in this room, we were in a position where at one point, maybe we didn't feel like we were the strongest. Maybe we didn't feel like we belonged the most. Maybe we felt like we were disadvantaged in one way or another, but we dreamed of not only being that person that fought that battle to be that person that's standing on top of the hill, but also be that person that's helping other people come up that hill too.
Yeah. I get that.
There's always, you know, something like we all talked about, excuse me, investing in human equity.
Oh, yes.
You know, and I think as Johnell used to invest in human equity in the wrong way.
Oh, completely.
You've seen the advantage now of sinking into these kids' lives, and I've seen them with you, and I've heard the results of it because you're out there with my wife, and these kids are having remarkable turnarounds in their lives because of not only Johnell Ward and his program for after-school programs and Kicks for Kids, but the fact that they see your life and they want more of it, and as they do it, you're talking to them about what makes you tick, and it's Christ in us.
Yeah.
And you're inspiring some of these to come and get baptized.
Baptized, want to join churches.
Yes.
Got one little boy recently saying, I want to be a pastor. I said, what? I said, okay, that's a big call.
And coming from your background,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's huge.
I mean, I think, Tom, I think this is a perfect segue into our story with Johnell, into where when he he first started going to church,
He did.
gave his life to God.
Yeah, it was rough.
Right? I bet. Right? And he had a vision.
He did.
He had a dream. Tell us a little bit about that.
He had a dream, and I got a phone call, and to it's somebody that Johnell know mutually, and they said, "Hey, would you sit down with this young man, Johnell Ward?" And I said, "Well, yeah. So what's the plan? What's the idea?" She goes, and so they said, "He has got this idea, and it involves shoes." But the person saying it is like, I don't understand it. And I'm pretty, sometimes I'll piece things together. So I remember, Johnell, you and I sat down.
Yeah.
And you unleashed this idea. And as I saw it, I told you one thing. I go, Johnell, this is bigger than you.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
I
Yes,
looked
you
at
did.
him and I told you that I'm in. I'm in for a season.
Yes.
But I told you we have to bring other people in because this is going to require you having multiple relationships. And so as we started doing this, I started to get to know more about Johnell, get to know his life, what motivates him, and what motivates him is an experience that you had as a foster kid.
Yes. Yeah, I grew up in foster care.
Yeah.
I lost my parents when I was 6 years old. Drug use. They chose drugs instead of making this a priority. It's
hard, man.
It's about, in total, my father had 10 kids, 3 with another woman and 7 with one woman, my mother. But all 10 of us have never been in a room together all at one time, ever, because of the decisions that they made. And we would never be in that room because, fortunately, growing up in that way, I wasn't the best role model. I did influence many, including my siblings who didn't know me outside of like urban legend, basically, right?
Yeah, they heard their brother.
I'm going to bring in one little story and then let you have at it, Johnny. On a podcast that I do 4 or 5 podcasts, and I had the district attorney, Cindy Zimmer, on my show. And she came in because she was on the show, and Johnell had just finished up a show, and we did it on Kicks for Kids. Yeah. And this was many years ago. And so as they walked out, they walked and faced each other. And so so Cindy looked at John and says, "I know you." And John was, "Yeah, you did." And Johnell said something which was so inspiring. He said, "I want to thank you for putting me in prison." Yeah. not for the charge you had me on, but for another unrelated charge later on. But he said that changed my life. And Cindy sat there, and she's such a woman of God. Johnell started to explain. She goes, you don't need to explain, because if you're in here doing these shows, because our shows are based on 511 Media Group, Faith, Family, and Freedom in Christ, 1 Thessalonians 5:11. She said, I'm just praising Jesus for the turnaround that you've made in your life.
She saw me as like, because in those spaces, you really don't get to see them, the DAs, as humans, and they don't get to see us as
your
humans.
adversaries.
Right? Yes, completely on a different spectrum. And for her to stop me.
Well, when after
and say
Johnell
that-
left, Tiffany and I were on set, and we interviewed her. She said, do you know all the trouble that man had caused the city of Bakersfield?
Yeah.
But now, what the devil meant for evil, God's turning it for good. That's coming from our DA. Local, she's still the DA of Bakersfield County.
So, Johnell, take me through what your perspective was when Tom sat you down and told you you told him his vision, you told him the vision, and he said, this is gonna be bigger than you. What did you think at that time?
Overwhelmed, right? Because I went there for advice,
Oh, okay.
right? Because I don't know nothing.
And he got a relationship.
I got a relationship. I got one of the biggest friendships that I can count as something that changed my life to this day.
Yeah.
Home in high standards, honorable. I mean, I learned from his decision making, how he communicates. Like it's got to be God.
Yeah.
But I went there for advice.
Yeah.
Because I've been having this dream that I should be putting shoes on kids' feet. And it stems from when I was in group home, there wasn't, because I grew up in nothing but group homes. I didn't get to go to foster homes.
That's hard, man. Group homes are hard places.
There wasn't a covenant coffee. I know of covenant coffee. I think that thing is amazing what they're doing. There wasn't things like that in place for foster youth then.
We've grown a lot in 20 years.
Shoes were hand-me-downs. I remember going to 8th grade with shoes that were already talking, so it didn't matter what that.
Oh, man.
It didn't matter. First day, I was already suspended. First joke, I was like, all right, for sure,
Oh, man.
So I wanted foster kids to not feel less than because of any situation.
Wow.
Johnell told me, he goes, and this was always stuck with me, and I remember from that first day, I go, what is your purpose? He goes, I want them to have identity, and shoe identity comes before personal identity.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Kids in this day and age look at shoes. I'll remember that, because, and I think that's what's important with relationships is the person that is doing the mentoring learns from the person 100%. That you're mentoring, because I've never lost that, and I do believe it's true because I've recognized it
100%
myself, and and one of the things that I'm very proud of Johnell for is that as we fast forward, he's actually in the public school systems.
Wow.
This vision
I have
is
a rally this Wednesday at Thompson Junior High.
now,
Speaking at 702 kids.
now, if you think about the ability to magnify his voice, and how his shoe identity affects kids, because as we kept growing in our relationship, I kept trying to be influential with him, and I remember calling him one day. And I had talked to my wife, who's a superintendent of a public school system, to have a rally using Kicks for Kids.
Yeah.
And I did. And so my wife's like, okay, I don't know Johnell at all. And so what's he going to do? I go, this guy does a sensational job. My wife came home with tears in her eyes going, he does.
Oh, man.
And she goes, those kids, what he's done for our school has never been done. So as I step back, I just think, wow, what a journey we've had. Yeah. And I've been less involved with John's life now, but sometimes that role is there to watch that launch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as that launch has been sensational, he's got this rally I'm just hearing about. Wow. Yeah. I'm hearing about the relationships in Ventura he's having. Yeah. And there isn't anything better, but as you start out just saying, I'm going to get in your life. And that's a two-way street. Yeah, because I'm looking at a guy I never knew from anybody.
Completely different worlds too.
And saying, I'm in.
Yeah.
And Johnell's like, well, how's this going to work? well, let's go to the same campus together, right?
Yeah.
Let's sit
Yeah.
down with Bible
Proximity.
study together.
Yeah.
Proximity is
Yeah.
always the secret formula.
Brilliant.
Because it does.
Johnell, the story's beautiful, but I know it's not always as beautiful as it sounds because there's a lot of battles in between.
Yeah.
Talk to me about some of the battles that you guys went through.
Man, well, recently it's been tough. Last 2 weeks, at a school here locally in Bakersfield, we have mentorship, not after school, but we mentor so many kids that go to this campus. It's crazy how these schools just let us on campus nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we know
schools
you
are
just come on.
strict. They are strict.
And with their faith-based and everything, they're like, yeah, come on
man.
in. All my clothing says Holy Spirit.
Well, what's crazy is
we need help.
This is also important. I told Johnell, and he didn't listen, which is okay. I said you might want to do a nonprofit that's non-religious. What did Johnell do? He started one that's religious, and I'm like, well, that'll be harder. But that's where a mentor has to step back
Yeah.
and say, you know best.
Yeah.
And not try to wrangle it to the point where it's not your vision.
I remember you said yesterday, and in my head, I prayed on it, but I was like, I can't. These opportunities are because of God.
Yeah.
So if it's really Him in it, doors are gonna open, and the ones that are shut are shut. But,
Heck yeah.
And I had to respect that.
Have to.
Because
Have to.
if you go and it's your idea, then it was never there.
Yeah.
And that's the battle that they have to fight, and it's the adventure they have to live. And the romanticism and the beauty of it is
100%.
getting there.
And they have to do it. The key is independently.
Yes, they do.
yeah.
Johnell, so what were you saying the difficult part was the last few weeks?
Few weeks, because mentality, mentorship, we do a lot of it. I have a quote that I shared with Pastor that's like, I believe it's way more better for us to raise stronger men and women from children than it's to fix them when they're already
Man, you can say that again. That's my whole business is based on is fixing them, and it's hard.
Yeah, right. And it's that mentorship, like you said, it becomes a relationship where it's more than just corporate. You know what I mean?
It's human equity.
Yes. And so we had two kids here locally in Bakersfield. We opened up our mentorship around this curriculum that is engaging with social problems, right? So we had a conversation around, it was listening. Right? And it was asking like different. It was just an opening, but we had different ways of listening. We do like a mock-up podcast sometimes too.
That's tight. That's tight.
I heard Pastor say so many times about with the kids, and so I was like, let's see what it does. And it teaches kids how to really ask questions and shut up and listen.
I've told Johnell, because he's a host on our shows at 511 Media Group. He's one of the guys that is talent for us. And he's, this I told about you. I mean, people are the new platform.
Yep.
Yes.
And you're creating a lot of little platforms, and you are too, Johnny.
Heck yeah.
Two of these kids opened up. We started listening. I was like, so what are adults not listening to you about? And there was one kid opened up about like what has happened to me. So there's some sexual abuse in this group. So we started talking about it, and there was two kids who opened up about hurting themselves. So we didn't go into it deeper in the group thing. So outside of the group, we isolate, because we do like isolation, right? We got little pods, little cool little things from sitting. We just chop it up. And I was like, hey, how far did you think down this road, right? And both of them showed me a video that they made. One lives with a grandparent, and the other one lives with the mom. The video they made on why they're going to do it. The tabs on the research on where to cut to make sure nothing stops those. And what shocked me isn't that. I know that hits people. What shocked me is these kids, you would never know. They're the Robin Williams. They're the ones everyone laughs with it. They're the ones everyone gravitates to. They're like the ones, like they're people, right? Like that's what shocked me. Been doing this so long, like the suicide part, I hate to say it, like it's a part of this. Yeah. It shouldn't be, but it is.
It's a part of our lives.
But when
it shouldn't. In our society, we shouldn't be talking to minors.
No.
About this, and I love the fact that you're coming into it with a discipleship model that you're able to take from a group into a smaller group to really get to know, because they wouldn't probably open up to you.
No, they wouldn't have and they wouldn't have opened up to anyone. So the school was even like we didn't know. So we got everything involved. But the challenge was like what I've been praying about is like, God, how that, like, I know I'm not supposed to see everything, but can I have the gift to see this?
Yeah.
Right. Like be not to overlook it, you know, like, because everyone was overlooking it, and they were there,
and it was right in front of you,
right in front of me,
and other people.
And I laughed with these kids like the day before, earlier that day, joked around, tossed the football, right? Yeah, like everything was normal.
That's a hard area because that area hits home. I'm a school psychologist, so I work specifically with these kids. They don't come to me until they have these issues, and honestly, I gotta say, I'm traumatized from the work, so I can understand how even within your adventure, you hit a new battle.
Yeah,
that requires you to dig deeper.
Yeah, so I did.
That requires you to tug at some of those emotions.
I did. Well, it's not to allow them to dictate like how I respond, because we still can't carry the cross. But and that's where we go into collaborations. Can't save this kid alone.
100%.
So we got to get everyone involved.
You know, Johnny, I think this is a time that I can share this, and I think Johnell will remember it, because I tell everybody. I think I've told you this too, Johnell and Johnny, that in the visionary phase of your battle, your fight, your venture, that you can't problem solve in the visionary phase. Did I not tell you that?
Yeah, you have.
and because. Would you ever
advice.
would you ever start if you knew this is where you'd be?
No, because this is what growing up as a foster kid is your worst nightmare.
Yeah, and so if you're out there and you've got a vision, get people around you that aren't trying to rain on your parade, because you can't problem solve everything before you start.
100%.
It's that starting that is the key, and that's why I'm proud of you, Johnell. Yeah. That you started, and now you're coming across these things as a mature nonprofit owner and participant, and you're like, the word you used, Johnny, was traumatized.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes as much out of the person that's on the other side that you want to help build up somebody, and you want to help save the falls. But Johnny, I love what you're doing.
And then there's the stress of how to manage and get through it.
So I fight that with the scripture, right? Jesus said it perfect. Do not deny these kids to come to me. Yeah. And then other parts he says, if you're not like these kids, you will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. It says you should have childlike faith, not adult faith, right? So it's like, why is he keep pointing towards the kids to be an example? And our kids in our communities don't know this. So it's like, okay, I see where we're supposed to. It's not just shoes. I need to make you an example.
The shoes were the cherry on top, but it was getting there.
Yeah,
that was it. And I do believe God does give visions. And I remember you. Did you have a vision with the shoes?
Yeah, for a year.
I remember you said it was a vision. Yeah.
For a year.
So when he told me that, when he told me this, when I asked him,
I didn't even tell no one for a year.
When I asked
my wife
him,
knew.
Where'd this start? And he goes, in a vision. I go, tell me. Because I believe in the way God communicates. Tell me the vision.
So for a year, same dream, waking up at like 3:33 every night for the same year. And I'm talking to my wife. She was like, "What's going on?" So I think I'm supposed to be putting shoes on people. And she's like, me and her both laugh like, "How am I supposed to do that?"
How did the 3:33 equate to shoes?
The first shoe giveaway. I believe that's how many dollars we had to go towards the first register. Yeah, that's where we started. That's what me and my wife put in. That's how when we started, because I'm writing down now.
And it takes an investment in ministries, doesn't it?
Yeah.
See, that's something people don't get.
No,
not only your self, but your treasure.
Other people want other people to pour into it first before they even pour into it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I get it, but this isn't like a for-profit type thing, right?
It's
No,
not.
this is a
It's a
spiritual
love.
thing. So it's like in love, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, how much do I love this? Well, I put my resources in this.
Well, the Bible says where your treasure goes,
Yeah,
your heart will
goes.
follow.
Man.
That's your attention, baby. That's your attention.
If God's got your
Yeah.
wallet, He's got
Yeah,
everything else.
that's
Yeah, he
it.
does. He does.
Hey, John, I do have a question. What would you say was the most challenging part of mentorship for you?
Me being mentored,
Getting mentored.
getting mentored.
Yeah.
The most challenging
Yeah.
part, is because you have a vision of who you want to be mentored by.
And I wasn't it. The old white guy wasn't it.
No, well, not right out the gate, right? But I'm glad it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But not right out the gate because everyone at that time for about our mutual friend, right, was saying you need to go to this, and then when I got to you open up my eyes.
That's what he does, though. That's what he does. He's a gift at that.
And nothing to our mutual friend because he's amazing. He's still involved in the life, and he accredited because that man had a vision, and that's why I'm sitting here. You know, so I give him that. But it was the hardest thing about it is it's like saying what you want,
Yeah.
and then not.
Saying
Where
your-
I think
do you
where
mean saying what you want or saying your vision out loud?
no, not even just business, saying what I want for my life, right? Because
Oh.
Pastor asked me about my wife,
Yeah.
my kids, and at this time, I don't know, and I'm like,
He's like, I want to do shoes.
right? Because I'm just to the faith, I'm new to the faith. So at this time, me and my wife we're going on 18 years next in a few like 6
up.
months. We'll have 18 years married, but it was 1 year. Where it was almost over, and that was a year. That was
And I've always come to it, as men, we have responsibilities.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we can't just go off to fight a new battle
Yeah.
when the battle's in our home.
See, and that's the thing about mentorship, like
good talk.
especially men mentoring men, the right way, because he confronted that, and I never had that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And even coming to the church, most people was even to this day, I would say not just any church, I'm talking about church in general, kind of shy away
Yeah.
from me
hard
or
subjects.
confronting me or anything, right?
Iron sharpens iron.
so
That's
I
what
stay-
we're feeding on.
You're abrasive to each other.
That's
Yeah,
it.
so he did that and made me look like, dang, I need to make this right. I need to make-
Because is it wrong? Because you are,
Facts.
if you can't stay to the commitment to your wife,
facts.
can't stay to the commitment to your kids,
Facts.
what good do you think? And I think people get overextended, and they have enough energy or they have enough wherewithal to bring about another idea.
Yeah.
But then that's just another commitment that they'll probably not fail or they'll fail with if they don't make the foundation right.
So I think like accepting that, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let me work on this. Well, let me work on character, and not knowing that's going to be part of the whole vision.
That's it.
Like the curriculum we
Yeah.
teach these kids is behavior and character development.
And you were just starting with shoes.
I was
That's
starting
it.
with shoes.
Now I got we got one more minute left, maybe a few more, but one last question. What was the value of mentorship on your adventure, on your battle, and with your beauty?
The value is like I was a student. I always been like even I was good at school. You just couldn't tell everybody you were smart, right? I love to read. So I was a student. I love to read. I want to learn. And learning how to be a mentor by being mentored. Like it was the most beautiful thing because now. How my relationship was Tom, I have about like 40 of them with young men all across the nation right now, and from colleges.
And that blows my mind.
Wow.
The same way, like, I call them out.
Wow.
Call them out. Why are you living in that home with her, or whatever the challenge is? Like, are you gonna run? Like, right now, where I'm seeing where mentorship is lacking is calling people out because
100%.
they want to be comfortable. And or because your words might chase them off. If your words can chase them off, when they get into their purpose is going to chase them off.
Ooh.
If they let words chase them off, right?
So
I get told all the time, you can't do that. You X, Y, and Z. It's like, all right.
So
God told me it could.
would you say that, would you say there's power behind mentorship and that model?
I think it's more than just power. Power, yes, power, but I think it's a necessity. A lot of us, the majority of the country, come from some type of brokenness.
Yeah.
And just I'm a father to a son, and it blows my mind because he's off in college now.
that blows my mind.
Yeah, because he was a baby playing.
He was never a baby.
Well,
He was always
big. But he comes home from junior year in high school to now in college, and he'll recite something that someone said to him. And I'm like, I told you that 100 times.
That's the beauty of being a father.
Yeah, right. But then I'm like, but it's clicking.
You know, one of the things.
It's clicking.
You know, one of the things I like to tell the audience and you, John, it always inspires me because there's so many people that want to buy stock into somebody after they've already been successful.
Yeah.
I love to start when the dirt is just untilled.
Yeah.
When they're young. Because you can celebrate a victory like this, knowing he's discipling like 40 people all over the nation. He's in their lives. But that's not why you even do it. You do it because it's the right thing and that it puts it in your heart. And then you want to see somebody excel at doing what they do. And you can go back and go, yeah, that's the example, because his voice will go so much farther than my voice
100%.
out there in these communities.
Well, I'm excited, Tom. I love this journey. I love what we're doing. And I especially love to bring it back
Yes.
to right here.
Yep.
Mentality Unleashed.
Yes.
It's not easy being a man in this society. It's not easy being a man because people want to emasculate you. People don't want you being strong. People don't want you being a lion.
Now, people are scared of confidence.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
It intimidates some people.
They're scared of achievements. They're scared of those alphas. But the facts is, in order to be one, you got to be around them.
Yes.
You got to learn how to be one. It's not something you just wake up and are. It's developed by men around you, getting you there.
What I love about sometimes, and I know Ray Lewis has a new inspirational video out
heck yeah.
where he talks about being the lion, not the gazelle. The lion wakes up thinking about hunting. The gazelle thinks about running.
They both running, but running for different purposes. Yeah.
So make sure you all run to this right here. Mentality Unleashed. Sign up, guys. So that way,
How can they get a hold of you?
you can get a hold of us by my social media, jrizo62. It's on there, or my email.
We'll drop a link in our producer
There you
Alex
go.
Howell will drop.
Yeah, we'll drop a link in there so you guys will have it all ready for you guys.
Sign up early.
There you go. See you soon.